All right, welcome back to the Local Lens Media Podcast. My name is Adam Dobbins. I'm the Director of Sales here at Walnut Media, and I think you're noticing, if you're watching on video, if you're not, if you're on the podcast, you're going to hear soon. My compadre, Andrew Botwinik, is out right now on paternity leave, actually just had a son. So congratulations to him. Huge moment in his life. So we're really excited. But today, my other compadre and friend, Jackson Ebeling from our digital department here at Walnut Media, he is our digital success coordinator. And he's going to be joining us today talking about some digital topics, all kinds of digital topics, and really helping account executives tackle different situations on the digital landscape.
Awesome. Well, happy to be here.
We're happy that you're here. And also, we got to let everyone know too, we're coming to you live from the Performance Podcast Studio here on the Walnut Media compound. So we're really excited for that. Come check out the Performance Podcast Studio any chance you get. Great place to do a podcast. Like I always said, if they can make us sound good, they're pretty good at what they do. So come on over and take a look. So Jackson, really we've noticed over time, and I especially have in my career, that there's no better marriage when it comes to marketing than radio and digital together. Now they're really effective on their own, but when you combine them together, it's just like the absolute perfect marriage. It just creates magic. You know, you're going to take a campaign that's doing well and make it become great if done effectively. And, you know, the one thing I always tell clients is I feel like that completes the marketing circle for them. When we have a radio campaign going and they hear the ad over and over and over and over again, and it's at top of mind awareness and they're always thinking about it, then all of a sudden they get served a digital ad for it. Then you're cooking with fire and really great things start to happen. The conversion rate at that point really starts to shoot through the roof, and you're really extending the reach and audience diversification when you're taking that approach. But, you know, one of the things that we wanted to talk about in the beginning, and I can say from our side that, you know, you being a part of our team has really helped us dial in and have more of a sophisticated approach with our clients. I felt like we were doing well before. And then once you joined our team and came into our meetings, I'm like, okay, we're really dialing this in. We're getting more detailed. We're uncovering opportunities that maybe we weren't before, and which was the whole point. We're getting even better at what we do. What are some tips, Jackson, that you have for AEs to run an effective digital CNA when they're sitting down speaking with a client, running through the CNA? What are some big tips that you really, really recommend for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're doing it for digital, especially as with any CNA, you have a couple things you want to get, which is your basics. You want to get a timeline. You want to get a budget. You want to get an idea of their goals and some kind of a topic as far as quantifying those goals, so you can make sure whatever strategies you're recommending go towards reaching those goals. On the other side of that, you also want to understand what they're doing, what they've done, and what has worked and what hasn't. And if they haven't done anything, why haven't they done anything? Yeah. Is this something that is new to them? What's their experience level as far as the topic goes? And how far do you need to clarify or address objections they may have with doing anything digital so that they feel comfortable with moving forward with the decision? Okay. On that line, if you're going about, say, if you're talking with Jan from Jan's Bakery, okay, and she's interested in doing some digital, she's done radio in the past and she's familiar with that, but you know, she's on the older end of the demographic, so it's new to her. She knows she needs to do it. She knows she's interested in doing it, but she doesn't know how to go about it. Attaching that to a goal, and a quantifiable goal, is going to be the key point you want to focus on. She's addressing the branding side of her company with radio and doing radio, but she needs to get more people in the door. She needs to get more conversions through her website. She just set up a website last year.
Because branding doesn't always necessarily bring conversions, no, at least not right away.
No, absolutely not. And that's the thing with digital, is I think digital has a strong avenue as far as conversions go. Mm-hmm. So you want to lean on that for your CNA, and you kind of want to silo them into that direction. But really, just go in when you're meeting with Jan for her CNA. Ask her what she's done, what's worked, what hasn't, what's her goal, and just shut up and listen is the key.
Yeah.
Just let them talk. Let them paint the picture for you, but also bring some things into that meeting. Review their website, review their social media, review what they might be doing. There's a capability on Facebook, I know, and I think Instagram too, but they may be adding this as a new feature. You can go and see if they're running ads. You can also use tools like SEMrush to jump in and see if they're running Google ads and see what their website traffic is. Because those are areas you can identify coming into this meeting as top talking points for digital, depending on what your respective service set is. And having those ideas as ammunition coming into that meeting is going to be key to identifying where to take this conversation. Because she probably won't have any idea as far as what she needs to have happen.
And I've noticed fairly, consistently when we go into meetings, you've done your homework and you go in with that client and you see what their marketing footprint is currently. And then that really has helped you diagnose what the next steps are. Before, you might change some things as the meeting goes on, but you kind of seem to go into these meetings already having an idea from the research that you've done, what direction we might be going.
Absolutely. And really it all just, you take the information you have going into the meeting and what you get out of it, and you just connect it to whatever their goals are. You identify what they're doing already. If they're doing branding related assets already, if they're doing that sort of marketing as a point now, you don't want to recommend them display. You don't want to recommend CTV. You want to recommend something lower funnel because that's going to be easier to sell, and you can quantify that success through their website or through the conversions they have. How many phone calls do they get? How many emails do they get? That stuff is what is key to getting the residual effect of having digital clients for a long time.
What is there any specific lower funnel tactics that you, in situations like that you tend to like to recommend?
Yeah, and that's a good question too, because as an AE, there's a line you have to walk here with digital, because there's a right and a wrong way of doing things, and there's also being a good salesperson and being a good partner. There's a lot of tactics you can recommend that will just get people success right out of the gate. It's essentially printing money, Google pay-per-click being one of them, but it's a low commission. It's hard to get a decent profit margin on it for most agencies, and it's not really, really great on its own as far as branding or any of that impressions goes and getting your voice out there. But it gets people through the door, it gets purchases made, and it's easily quantifiable as far as if it's successful or not. When you're thinking about those things, you have to balance both those ends. You want to be a good partner, but you also want to be a good salesperson.
Yep.
You want to make sure that what you're delivering is not only going to put money in your pocket, but it's going to put money in the pocket of your client. So I like to pair, if someone just comes to me and they don't give me any context about what they're looking for and they just want to do marketing for XYZ company, I would pair something like Google pay-per-click or SEM with social media or something a little bit more mid-funnel.
Okay.
Just to get them that balance, because you get something that's going to roll in some commissions for you. It's going to roll in clients for your client, and it's going to be a more successful campaign reaching more of those avenues on that funnel.
I love that approach though. And that's really what we try to do here too. You want to, come with a tactic and a strategy that's going to be beneficial and effective for all parties involved. So that's fantastic. But Jackson, a lot of meetings we go into, say we're going into Jan's Bakery and we go through this whole CNA process, and we're really excited about the campaign. She's got a great reputation in the community. I mean, she makes some killer kolaches and donuts, and she's just unbelievably talented. And then all of a sudden we start talking about budget, and the whole tone of the meeting completely changes.
Oh, yeah.
There's not a lot of meat on the bone there. And with bakeries and restaurants, a lot of times that can be the case because their profit margins are a lot slimmer. What are some workarounds that you've done in the past to, be able to help out a client like that you really believe in but has a very limited budget?
Yeah, that's a great question. So budget is if that comes up in the conversation towards the end of the CNA and they are limited on as far as means for spend, and at least for the Omaha market, that's if they're $1,000 and under a month unavailable budget, that's when I start to question whether this is the right approach for them, because digital has a lot of areas to cover, and it's one of those things that if you cover all of them effectively, they all complement each other. But if you cover one of the three, then you're not going to get that success that they might be looking for. So this is where you really put more attention on quantifying what their goal is, and you need to think about what are the KPIs that define that goal. If they were looking for branding or for brand recognition and reach, those are going to be more of your impressions and your CTR. If you're looking for more conversion based and they want people in the door, they want orders, they want purchases, that's going to be your phone calls, that's going to be your emails made through their website. You need to really put more attention on, at the end of the month, when you send them that report, that it is making financial sense to them.
Yeah.
A typical website is going to convert between 1.5 and 3% a good website will convert at 3. Typically, I see people more in the low 2s or high 1s. And when I say quantifying that and converting that to cash, I mean, if they have 100 people visit their site or click on the ads, you can see that on your reports. Of those 100 people, if 3% of them convert, that's 3 people that have either given a phone call or sent in an email or otherwise given their interest toward that service. That's things that if you say you go to a client and you close 100% of the deals that they get or the people that contact them, you can now quantify that. What's your average bill of sale? And does that make sense for the amount that they're spending each month? Because those are the things where you have to really paint that picture for them and be more clear about it. It's going to be more work. Those lower dollar clients are more work, and they're watching their budgets a lot closer.
Yeah.
But that's so much more fulfilling to bring in success into business for somebody like that who just needs it.
It's so rewarding.
It is so rewarding. It is by far the favorite part of my job.
And I've been in different situations with you that I was really impressed by when we're meeting with a client and we're going through the CNA process, and they've had a very limited budget. And you on the digital side, you know, you're always doing what's best for the client. And you've looked at the client and said, okay, well, I'm just seeing from what I'm hearing in the budget that we have to work with right now, maybe it would be best just to start off with radio and to build some momentum with radio. And then down the road, look at adding digital as a supplemental piece of this campaign. And, you know, I got to tell you, just from, you know, a sales leadership side, I loved seeing that because at the end of the day, you are doing what's best for the client, whether it's digital, radio, it doesn't matter. You are identifying and prescribing the absolute best solution for that client based upon their budget. And I thought that was pretty great.
You know, at the end of the day, you got to do what's best for them.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer in residual and keeping people on as long as possible, because I firmly believe that we are the best solution for them within our market. I know there's a lot of other companies out there, but I firmly believe we're the best and they're going to get the best out of it. And I make sure I emulate that within any and all of my sales meetings with clients, because the thing is, at the end of the day, they're looking at you as being their pseudo consultant with this. They're not just looking at you as a salesperson. You need to be the one who's their advocate, but also the one who's going to know what's right and best for them.
Yeah.
And that's going back to being a good salesperson and being a good AE, or being a good salesperson and then being a good partner is key to that. And you got to be able to tell them no. That's going to be a detriment to you at times when it makes sense, and they're going to respect you a lot more for that.
Well, Jackson, one of the most frustrating things that we have to go through on all aspects of media sales and probably sales in general is we have clients that have a very difficult time making a decision and drag their feet. We refer to that in one of our previous podcasts is silent objections. And that's a really common thing. If they aren't sure, they're not fully sold, or you've had a meeting and it's been 2 weeks, you haven't closed it. That there's still something there. And where account executives specifically drop the ball is they don't address those objections and uncover what they are. They follow up just to follow up. And a lazy generic follow-up is not going to address those silent objections. How do you, on the digital side, address this when you have a client that, let's say we've had a proposal and it's going on 2, 3, 4 weeks and we don't have a decision? Because we talk about on this podcast all the time that slow kills deals. The longer time between the proposal and, you know, and the signature, if there is a signature, but the more time that goes by, the less likely we are to get that signed. So again, like, how do you address this issue on the digital side?
Yeah, this is a great spot to pitch that question back to you. And I want to say, how do you address that typically with radio?
On the radio side, essentially, what we do, I do it a little bit differently probably than a lot of people. I will reach out directly and say, okay, Jackson, it's been about a week. You know, you needed to talk to your business partner. What are your thoughts? What are we thinking here? Level with me.
Yeah.
And you have that relationship with them, and you want to have that look in the eye. You want to be able to see them and be able to this isn't a phone conversation. This isn't an email conversation. This is a face-to-face. And I think if you have that relationship with them, you can feel that. You can find out, okay, clearly there's something holding you up. Is it price? Is it timing? Are you not sold on the campaign? Like, let's walk through this, because I'm committed to making this work for you, because I'm excited about this campaign. I'm excited about your business. I know you're excited about your business. Let's make this happen. But clearly there's some barriers. So walk me through how we can remove those.
Yeah. So the you could kind of, if you're going to silo that into a genre or basically how you address that, those might be, for some people, uncomfortable conversations, and especially for AEs who aren't used to it or they're just getting into sales, those might be hard for them to do or to communicate in a way that would be beneficial or effective to the situation. The way I like to do these and to tackle these situations is to try to make it as natural as possible. And the way I do that is from uniquely on a digital perspective by leaning on the aspect of what digital is. A lot of the services that we sell, all of them we do in-house, but a lot of them have an element of implementation, whether that's getting photography, sending Abram out there to get drone work, or building the website. There's a lot that leads up to that actual strategy taking effect and rolling with whatever they're doing in their business. So with that said, this is where it goes to really solidifying what their timeline is. And you keep that in the back of your head when you have that CNA. So when you come back to this conversation, you need to connect that timeline to with whatever they're looking to do. This kind of naturally forces them into a corner as far as making a decision goes. Hey, we need to know by X date when you're looking to move forward with this, because we need to silo out resources on our end to make sure we can deliver in accordance with your timeline. And we need to make sure our implementation is also in accordance with our own team and what our availability is. It's not a disrespectful way of putting it. It's making sure that you're checking out for your own team.
Yeah.
It's also making sure that you're keeping them accountable and in line with their own goals that they had told you during that initial CNA. And that just kind of naturally brings that discussion to a point and at least gets you a yes or a no.
Okay.
Even if it's a no, then you don't have to keep reaching out to them. And you're saving your time there. And if it's a yes, then wonderful. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's get this over the line. Here's what you need. Let's start.
And these decision makers, as we all know, they have a million things going on. Mm-hmm. And to be able to sit them down and get them to make a decision can be very, very challenging. That's where it comes back to with everything Jackson said and that I said too, combining with, it all goes back to relationship building. You have to have a great relationship with the client. Then you can level with them and really break through those barriers a lot quicker. If you don't have that relationship with them, you're probably not going to be able to address the silent objection as well as someone that has a really tight-knit relationship with that client.
Absolutely. And that should be the cornerstone that you live on.
Absolutely. And I think that's a lot of AEs totally miss that part because they make the proposal transactional. Mm-hmm. And that's not what it's about. It's about being a partner to the client and really learning their business. And I always want to hear our clients think of us as their little marketing department in the back of their building, that they can just call us and boom, we're there.
Yeah.
And that's the whole cool part about being the only locally owned media company in the market. You should feel like you could be able to get a hold of us. And we have that accountability where you can talk to us at a moment's notice. We might not be able to come that day. Probably can, might not. It might be tomorrow, but we'll be there and we're going to address it. And that's one of the cool things that we really pride ourselves on and hang our hats on here. Jackson, one of the other things I wanted to ask you too is when a client is wanting to start a digital campaign, there always seems to be some roadblocks. What are some of the ones that you have come into from time to time that might inhibit the success of a campaign that you would deem valuable to bring up to help those account executives or a digital success coordinator out there in the field working with clients?
Yeah. So, it's a loaded question, but to oversimplify it, this is really where you need to learn on and lean on your expertise with digital. You need to really understand how all of these elements, whether it's CTV, whether it's display, whether it's any of the digital strategies you might pitch them, how they all interact and complement each other. That all starts with understanding what they currently have. What's their infrastructure online? Do they have a Google My Business page? Do they have reviews set up on listing services like Yelp? Do they have a website that is somewhat functional? Does it actually work? Does the click to call button work? Does the email send button work on the contact page?
So many times those things don't work and they don't even realize it.
It's sad because it's more often than not that's the case.
Yeah.
And those are the things when you're looking at before CNA, like check those things out because that's stuff you can lean on. But aside from that, like even if you don't check any of that and you don't verify that yourself and you go to run a campaign for them, they're not going to get crap out of it if their contact page doesn't work.
Yeah.
Where's the email going?
Nobody knows.
Not to somebody where it matters. So that's where you really need to kind of just take inventory of what they have, cross-reference it with where they're looking to get, and make sure that those endpoints are at least in a direction that's going to see to that success. Because at the end of the day, you could do everything right and it still won't mean anything for them.
So one thing that we consistently run into, and we hear this a lot, and I'm sure you've heard it too, the clients say, I've had a lot of people come in here and pitch me a digital marketing, digital tactics, and you're the only one that's really, I feel like, understands it and has made me understand it. Tell us the importance of an account executive or anyone essentially selling digital marketing solutions, how important it is to fully understand all of the tactics and everything that goes behind it.
Yeah, you need to do your homework as an AE. You need to understand it, both what it means, what it does, and the elements of it. But the client doesn't need to know that, and you don't need to shove that information on them because they have enough going through their head already. Yeah. That's going to be the biggest thing blocking you from moving a deal over the line. Especially in regards to, say, we had a concrete company come and talk to us, and they did driveway repair and commercial concrete services. The way that I kind of consolidated that conversation to something that he would understand is I took what his business is and the things that he understands. He's going to know how concrete sets. He's going to know what concrete you use in certain situations. Is there going to be water applied to it, i.e. is it like a seawall or something? You use a different concrete mix for that. I used the same situation to describe why he should work with us versus the proposal he got from another client, because he did show me that. That proposal set him out with a strategy that was branding, and he just wanted more clients. They pitched display and CTV, and I pitched Facebook and Instagram advertising and Google pay-per-click. CTV and display, you're not going to get leads out of that. You're not going to get people ringing your phone for that.
It's branding.
It's flat branding. It's not the right strategy for them.
Yeah.
Facebook advertising is an extremely effective way to get local business, especially service-based businesses. It is head and heels above anything else you can do. Paired with Google pay-per-click, that's a winning strategy. And you're going to come in at a fraction of the cost as far as user acquisition or customer acquisition goes. And you can numerically quantify that success to them. You can't do that with branding.
And one thing I wanted to talk about, Jackson, I feel like you've done a really good job at, and we kind of touched on this here just briefly, but talk to me more about how important it is to make sure that when you're developing a relationship with a client, making sure that you're speaking in layman's terms where they really understand the campaign, and that, they're a lot more likely to move forward with a campaign when they feel like they understand it. I talk to clients every day where I ask them, like, what are you guys doing on the digital side? Yeah, I don't know. I pay somebody to do it and they just handle it. I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
Those are the easiest clients to move over and say, okay, well, how about you learn what you're doing and you actually feel like you have control over it, and you can watch it work and watch the magic actually take effect. How important is that? And how do you go about making sure that your clients are fully educated as much as possible on the campaign?
Well, for us at Performance Digital, we send them a report monthly, just going over everything that they have with us, their campaigns, and the performance of each one. That's the biggest red flag. If I'm talking to a client and they say they don't even know what they're doing and what it is and what they're paying for, man, I got car insurance and I know what that's for.
Come on. Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, what?
If it's coming out of my account, I want to know what it's for, and it's got to be for the benefit of me because I'm paying money for it.
But then they'll tell you they have a really tight marketing budget, but I'm throwing whatever it is at digital and I have no clue what I'm doing and who's doing it really.
And that's just what's surprising to me, because those are the things that I like to be proactive with that for our own clients, because I think that's important for them to know what they're paying for. What's the effect of it? And does this even make sense for my business? And I really don't align with the companies that don't kind of live by that as a philosophy.
Yeah.
Your clients are paying good money for this. They need your help. They've enlisted your help in order to get to where they need to be. At least give them that, you know?
If you have somebody handling your digital marketing and they are not explaining it to you where you fully understand it and you feel like you can see it working and you're not getting the analytical reporting behind it to see how it's performing from month to month, might want to make a decision to shop around and make a change. Jackson, if somebody just was listening to this podcast and like, God, I want to work with this guy, I want him to handle my digital marketing. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can find us at performancedigital.com. Okay. We've got our logo up on the Boomer site as well, or the Walnut site.
Yeah.
To find us, we're also online social media at Instagram, Facebook, and more recently TikTok. There's a lot of fun that goes on that, and we're getting more into the social media organic posting side of things. So Marina, our social media manager, has done a great job of getting us into that arena. But
she's up in the game over there.
Absolutely.
I can feel it. That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you to Jackson Ebeling, our digital success coordinator, and adding a lot of just a lot of depth to what we're doing on the digital side. So it's really exciting. And Performance Digital is really doing some great things for clients in the Omaha area and beyond. I mean, all over the place. So it's really exciting. So guys, make sure you like, subscribe, share, get it out there. Comment. If you have any questions, reach out. Jackson gave you his contact information, but guys, always remember, in media, it's so vital. You need to be known before you're needed. We'll see you next time.